Tom Petty sang it best. The waiting is the hardest part. A win tonight, the Indians are Central Division champs for the first time since '07. A win tonight for Corey Kluber, and he sets a career high with 19 victories and gives the Tribe a second trip to the playoffs under Terry Francona. Fall is in the air. October right around the corner. The Indians will try to book their tickets to the postseason next on Sports Time Ohio. The final road trip of the season begins tonight here in the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, where the Indians have a chance now to clinch the Central Division Championship here at Comerica Park. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The magic number, the mathematical formula, it's all very simple now. Win, and they're in. They clinch the Central Division flag, and kind of fitting with a chance to do it right here in Detroit, considering how they have dominated this Tigers team.
It really would be. There's no way to look at it. Just win tonight and you're going to be the Central Division champs. You can see it as far as the playoff picture go. The wild card, the Blue Jays and the Orioles have the top. The Detroit Tigers are a game and a half. They have to play to try and get back into it, but Cleveland also has to play and try and get the best record in the American League for home field advantage.
Yeah, they're a game and a half back for the top spot in the American League, so obviously still lots to play for as we go down the stretch. On the mound tonight, Corey Kluber. What better guy would you want on the mound in a situation like this? In his last 14 starts, he's only been beaten one time.
Well, and Corey Kluber has been as good as anybody in the second half of the season. He's 7-1 in 10 starts after an Indians loss, and this is the guy you want on the mound. He'd like to bring it home to Cleveland. He's 3-0 against the Tigers this year. He's had a great fastball, and the slider he'll use a lot. You can see his last 14 starts. He's pitched at least 6 innings in all starts, and this season, 18 wins. He's going for a career high 19 today. We'll see if Corey can do that and continue to pitch like he has been.
The Indians 13-2 against the Tigers, and they've pretty much handled them in every statistical category. But the most important reason why they have dominated is they have handled the middle of the Tigers lineup.
When you look at the 3 guys that have had great numbers against the Indians over the years, you can continue to pitch to these guys throughout the season. This will be 19 games when we're all said and done, and keep these guys to this many RBIs. There's no surprise why the Indians are 13-2 against the Tigers. Hopefully that can continue in this 4-game series.
The champagne is on ice. The Indians are ready to celebrate. They've got to go out and win the game first. We'll be back with tonight's first pitch. Plus, we'll check in with Andre Knott coming up next. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by your local Toyota dealers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. The push for the playoffs continues tonight for the Cleveland Indians. Tribe getting ready to take the field and open up this 4-game series against the Tigers. Before that happens, we'll go down to the field and check in with Andre Knott.
Well, the magic number is number 1, and as Terry Francona said today at his pregame meeting, we're all human beings. We know what's at stake. We know we have 7 games to get where we want to get, but we want to get it over with as quickly as possible. I went around the clubhouse today to some guys that were here in 2013, the last time the team had a chance to clinch. And in talking to Brian Shaw and Lonnie Chisenhall, they appreciate the moment now after what they went through in 2013.
There's not a whole lot of answers. You know, I know we picked up some great pieces, Napoli, Raj, Geyer, you know, guys like that, and then guys coming up through the minors. You know, Frankie's here, Naquin's here. You know, so it's been done, you know, internally for the most part, and you know, it's been fun to see. You know, I know we had that 1-game playoff in 13, but you know, we're looking forward to doing something special.
The differences are, you know, Hosey's done what he's done this year for us. Obviously, you know, we get a guy like Knapp in this year who's, you know, hit 34 homers for us. You know, obviously we picked up Miller at the deadline. You know, the rest of the guys in the bullpen, the rest of the, you know, the other piece that we picked up here and there, it complements the core that we've had throughout the whole time. And I think that, you know, the front office has done a really good job of, you know, getting it to where it's in our hands. You know, they've put the right pieces together, and it's on us to then, you know, put it all together and get to where we need to go.
And I think this team realizes it's a team, so to say. And they know that it takes everybody. There's no one guy. They all feed off each other. They've got very good chemistry in that clubhouse. There's no one better than the other, and they've done a great job. And they know that. They know what's in front of them.
And we also knew coming into this year that they had to play better in the Central Division if they were going to be Central Division champs. And as we enter play tonight, they are 45-24 in the Central Division. And that's really the most important stat of all for this club this year, because that's how you win a title and get yourself into the postseason. Last year they were 32-43 in the division.
Big difference there. They won at home. They won 53 games there, the second most. So they know what's at stake, and they need one more win today, and then they can celebrate and then get back to business again.
Tigers have taken the field. Buck Farmer, the starting pitcher tonight for Detroit. Let's take a look at the Indians starting lineup for Terry Francona, brought to you by Progressive. Carlos Santana will lead it off. He'll DH. Jason Kipnis, the second baseman, in the 2-hole. Francisco Lindor will bat third. Mike Napoli hitting cleanup. Then it's Jose Ramirez. Lonnie Chisenhall in right field bat sixth. Coco Crisp, Tyler Naquin, and Roberto Perez round out the starting 9.
And our Northern Ohio Hyundai starting pitcher is going to be Buck Farmer, 25 years old. He's making his first start this year. He's been up and down 3 or 4 times to the big leagues this year. His 14th appearance overall tonight. He has made 2 appearances out of the bullpen against the Indians this year, covering 4 2/3 innings. Has allowed 3 runs. So they have seen him before, and they're just going to go out there and hopefully they can get an early lead and build from that. We'll set the defense behind him tonight for Detroit, rated number 1 in the league. They have made 72 errors. It'll be Upton in left, Maben in center, J.D. Martinez in right. Ibar gets the start at third, Iglesias at short, Kinsler at second, Cabrera at first, with McCann doing the catching.
Trip Gibson will call the balls and strikes. Dan Bellino is at first. Hunter Wendelstedt, your crew chief, down at second base, and Jim Reynolds is at third. As the sun sets here in the Motor City, we're about to begin. Our game time temperature, 65 degrees. Light breeze blowing out toward left and left center. Tigers will employ a 3-man shift on the right side of the infield for Santana. And Buck Farmer's first pitch down and in, ball 1. Down and in again, 2-0. If you wonder about motivation, you get to this point in the season, obviously the Indians They're motivated by wanting to wrap it up as quickly as possible, have a celebration, and then look toward the postseason. The Tigers' motivation is twofold. One, they still have an opportunity to win a wild card spot, so they're fighting really every game to try and win a berth into the postseason. But secondly, Brad Ausmus says, just as a competitor, you don't want to see somebody celebrate on your home field.
That is true. Farmer with a fastball. His second best pitch is a changeup, and he threw one right there. His slider is average. For him to be effective tonight, he's going to have to use that fastball, and it has to have some movement to it to be successful.
Good count here for Santana to start. The 3-1. Called a strike. He didn't think so. Full count.
Take a look on our Nissan pitch tracker on the inner part of the plate. Looked like it might have been inside just a little bit, but the umpire called it a strike.
And so the payoff pitch. And he strikes him out to start the game. So he came back after it looked like he was in peril, falling behind, but he strikes him out.
Came right back with the heater. There's a good one to hit, and Santana just swings right through it. He'll get the first out on a strikeout.
Jason Kipnis pops one up, shallow left center. In comes Upton, and the left fielder makes the catch. 2 down. The keys to the game are brought to you by Wayside Furniture, as the Indians try to make it 8 Central Division championships. They'll need Lindor and Napoli to carry some of the load offensively, and Kluber trying to notch a career best 19th win. The pitch down and in to Lindor is called a strike. Lindor, 302 average on the year, and he takes a strike.
Well, that's a part. Normally that is a tough pitch to get called, that pitch on the inside corner. Take a look at our Indiana Wesleyan University pitch tracker. They are borderline, but they're getting called strikes.
Right at the top of the zone, too. The 0-2 ran it upstairs, and it's popped back out of play. Lindor in 10 games has been troublesome for the Tigers. Bounces it right into the glove of Miguel Cabrera, and the Indians go 1-2-3. The Tigers are coming to bat. inning, the Tigers come to bat, and their starting lineup under manager Brad Ausmus looks like this. Ian Kinsler, 6th in the American League in runs scored, leads it off. Cameron Maben, then Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, Justin Upton, and he has been on quite a tear of late. Eric Ibar, James McCann, and Jose Iglesias rounding it out.
Our Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher for the Tribe is Corey Kluber, making his 32nd start. The 30-year-old right-hander has made 3 starts against the Tigers this year. He's 3-0 with a 188 earned run average. He has been brilliant, and in his career, 5-6 against the Tigers.
So Ian Kinsler stands in, and we are ready to go here in the bottom of the first as Corey Kluber winds it up, and it's low and away, ball 1. Bounces that foul, third base side, into the crowd it goes. Two balls and a strike. Corey Kluber having another fantastic season. The 2-1 to Kinsler. Lifted in the air harmlessly to center field. Tyler Naquin will make the catch, 1 away.
Let's check that Indians defense, brought to you by Jeep. In the outfield, it's going to be Crisp in left. Naquin is in center. Chisenhall over in right. It'll be Ramirez at third, Lindor at short, Kipnis is at second, Napoli at first, Perez doing the catching.
Terry Francona has enjoyed watching Corey Kluber go to work since he became manager here in Cleveland. Kluber this year is 3rd in the American League in wins. He is 5th in innings pitched. He is 3rd in strikeouts, complete games, earned run average, and opponent's batting average. And he leads the league with 2 shutouts. Sounds funny. It only takes 2 to lead the league, but that, again,
well,
it goes to tell you that complete games are hard to attain for starting pitchers, and to go all the way and shut a team out just doesn't happen anymore.
You have to be very efficient. One of his shutouts, Matt, came against these Tigers May 4th back in Cleveland, where he complete game, 5 hits, had 7 strikeouts and 2 walks.
Swung on and missed. Maben goes down hacking. 2 down as Kluber notches strikeout number 225 on the year.
This will be our Circle K strikeout. Looked like he had a nice breaking ball here. Once you get ahead, that cutter, and you can see it just dive away from the barrel of that bat, and he gets Maben the swing and miss. That guy, he has been very, very good in his home ballpark this year.
He checked, he did not go, says Dan Bellino down at first base. Miguel Cabrera, 9th in the American League with a .306 batting average, and fouls this back. He's hit 34 homers. He's driven in 95. He's amassed 30 doubles, which for almost any other player in baseball would be considered a terrific year. But by his standards,
it's average.
It's just sort of pedestrian.
Exactly.
You know?
For him it is.
Yeah.
You're right. He's that good. Sad to say, but you take it for granted. You know, you remember a couple of years ago, the Triple Crown winner.
His on-base percentage at .386 is 5th best in the American League, which tells you that there are going to be times, even with Victor Martinez and J.D. Martinez behind him, teams are still going to walk him. They're not going to pitch to him if they don't have to.
Well, he's a proven. We showed you when they were back in Cleveland that at the same age and the same number of games, the comparison to Hank Aaron, and he was right there.
Corey Kluber strikes him out to end the first. Mike Napoli brings his mighty bat to the plate when we come back for inning number 2. Second inning with Mike Napoli leading it off. You can see by the crowd that while the Tigers are still very much alive in a fight for the wild card spot, maybe the fans aren't so convinced that they'll be able to stay in the hunt. Because this is a park that, and a baseball town that has really come out in large numbers over the last decade and supported this club.
Yeah, they really have. They've turned it around. You know, you go back to, what was it, 2006, I think, is there that year where they were
when they bottomed out?
Well, no, when they started to turn it around.
Oh, I got you.
Signed
yeah.
a free agent with Pudge Rodriguez and things like that.
Chop foul.
But, you know, they're still averaging 31,000 a game, and you know, they're good fans when they come out here, but you know, this year they started to dwindle, you know, because they were falling off. They haven't played well, you know, in the Central. They're 500, 36 and 36, and they always dominated, you know, when they took advantage of it and won their division. At home, they're 43 and 34, which is still pretty good, but if you're only going to play, you know, in the Central 500, you got to dominate at home.
3-1 to Napoli. And he swung through it. Good fastball, and Farmer challenged Santana in the first inning. He rears back and challenges Napoli here in the second.
Well, they'll zone into that fastball once they see it, because he's challenging him and he's throwing it down the middle. I mean, there's been some pitches that they've been able to hit, so that second time around they'll be waiting for it. I want to see his changeup and how it goes. And that looked like it was one right there. About 93, 94 for that fastball, and it's an 86-mile-an-hour changeup. That's his second best pitch, so he's a fastball changeup guy. He'll spin one up there, but it's not as effective as a lot of good right-handed pitchers.
Now the payoff pitch just missed inside, and the Indians get their leadoff man aboard to start the second. T-Mobile, greater coverage of baseball, and if you look at the tail of the tape, this has been one-sided all season long.
It really has. Outscoring the Tigers 35-5 in the first 3 innings. That's been a great MO for the Indians. But you can see the run differential, 96 to 49. They have just outplayed them all year long.
Jose Ramirez comes in 5th in the American League in batting average as he skips somehow out of the way of that pitch down at his feet. That's usually a pitch Napoli will run and take a base on.
You're right. Once he reads that ball down in the dirt, you can see they're moving the feet there of Ramirez. Jumps out of the way.
Ramirez batting .316, that's 5th best, 2nd in the league in doubles. And a swing and a miss, 1-1.
On Wednesday, Buck Farmer made a start against Minnesota. He went 2 2/3 scoreless innings, allowed 2 hits, but that game was postponed by rain. Remember, they had to make up that doubleheader the next day, and then the Tigers ended up winning both of them. He started that game, so this is his first start since.
Ramirez bounces one to short. Iglesias goes to second. There's one on to first. They will not turn the double play. Ramirez beats it out. And it will bring up Lonnie Chisenhall.
Well, that's good hustle by Ramirez because, you know, when you go the other way, Kinsler can turn that double play, but the speed of Ramirez beats it out. And that's a big deal because it gives you that extra out, really, is what it does when you can hustle and beat out a double play.
Lonnie Chisenhall batting .293 with the 8 homers. In his career, Lonnie a .254 hitter against Detroit, but this year batting .342 against Tiger pitching. Jose Ramirez, 22 steals. That's 8th most in the American League, and he'll draw the attention of Buck Farmer. Ramirez has been caught 7 times. And back to the screen off the bat at Chisenhall. 0-1.
Farmer does a nice job of getting the ball to home plate quickly, giving his catcher McCann an opportunity to throw if need be.
Farmer delivers, and Lonnie sends a fly ball to center field. Cameron Maben makes the catch, and there are 2 down.
Well, Indians baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. You can stay connected all season with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Coco Crisp will be the batter with Ramirez at first and 2 down. With 2 outs, do you expect to see Ramirez try to be aggressive?
Well, this guy's pretty quick, so I would say no. They're going to let Coco swing. They're doing a nice job throwing over there a couple of times. So you just make him aware that you're throwing to first base. They're making that call, obviously, from the dugout. If he would, I mean, he's about 1.1 to home plate, and the average is about 1.3. So there's the changeup. If you run, that's the pitch you want to run on. But he hasn't thrown a lot of them. He's thrown a lot of fastballs early this first time through the lineup.
A quick strike to Coco.
There you go. So they're conscious of the running game from the Indians. They lead the league with 130 stolen bases. They have been caught only 29 times. Very good percentage. But you know, the one thing they've done, they've ran the bases very well this year, going first to third, second to home.
Lifted, foul, and that's going to be out of play.
You know, for Mike Sarbaugh down at third base, when he's got to send guys home, he's had some fun this year waving the arm around.
And this is a ballpark, obviously, where because of the spacious nature in the outfield, you can score from first easily
in
here.
The gaps.
It's
right.
330 down the right field line, 345 down the left field line, 365 to the alley and right, but then it juts out all the way to 420 in straightaway center field.
Definitely a triples park. The Indians have had games here where they've hit 4 home runs in an inning and 4 triples in a game.
Yeah, that's
Remember
right.
that? They've had some really good offensive games here.
Down and in, 2-2. J.D. Martinez well off the line in right field. He's trying to guard that gap in right center.
Which you probably should for the most part.
You give the double down the line.
Yeah, that's going to be a double. It should not be a triple if you can get over there and get it into your cutoff man. And Kinsler's got a good throwing arm. But if you can take away that ball in the gap, that's the triple.
Inside, nearly hit him. Full count.
Okay, now he'll be off and running.
And Miguel Cabrera will alert Buck Farmer that he's going to drop behind Ramirez. Maybe he'll try to keep him close, but
yeah, stay right around his back pocket. He's not going to go all the way back. Just stay shadow him.
Coco drills it deep right field, and the Indians will take the lead. Coco with his 13th home run of the year, and that was a no doubt about it shot to deep right. And it's 2-0 Cleveland.
And did you see that bench? That bench got up and they are pumped now. Took one swing, and again in the first couple of innings, the Indians will have a 2-0 lead. For Coco, is going to be his 13th home run. Down and in, boom, he got the fastball. And that one is not coming back.
Wow. Good at bat for Coco Crisp, the veteran, coming back to where his career really began with the Indians.
And you know, you go back to that double play that wasn't turned. Not that they had an easy opportunity. It was just a little bobble over there, but Ramirez beat it out and kept the inning alive.
Tyler Naquin, swing and miss. You know, Coco has said it's not the first time he's changed organizations, not the first time he's been traded, obviously. But it's the first time it's happened for him in the middle of a season, so it has been an adjustment for him.
It sure is. It's not an easy thing to do. And I mean, you're talking about August. Not a whole lot of time to get used to everything.
And you know, when you play in Oakland, you don't see the Indians very often, so it's not like he really crossed paths with these guys, but maybe once or twice a year.
That is correct.
Now the 1-2 offering, upstairs with it.
And that upsets the fans a little bit here because they've seen this act before. where the Indians come out and jump out early. And boy, that's what you want to do, especially when you got Kluber on the mound.
Two and two the count. That number now, in the first 3 innings of their head-to-head matchups this year, the Indians have now outscored Detroit 37-5. Brad Ausmus probably thinking that your thoughts, I've seen this movie and I know how it ends.
Right.
The payoff. Ball 4, he missed outside. So Naquin draws a walk, second of the inning for Cleveland. And the inning stays alive for Roberto Perez. And you see Miguel Cabrera coming on for a word of encouragement. Probably something to the effect of, look, you gave up the home run. That's going to happen. But you can't walk guys. That leads to big innings. If they're going to beat you, you got to make them hit you out of the game. Roberto Perez with 2 down and Naquin at first. Low and away, ball 1.
Well, that's the one thing about young pitchers. When something happens and that 2-run home run with 2 outs, I think Cabrera is saying, hey, let's go. Just get it turned around. Get us into the dugout.
Swing and a miss. It's 1-1. Anxious to see if this continues for Buck Farmer, how Brad Ausmus plays this.
Well, they're in pretty much a must-win situation. They cannot fall behind by too many because you have Kluber on the mound. They know that. So, I mean, the Indians are looking to clinch the division, and the Tigers realize they probably don't have a shot at it, but they do have a shot at the wild card.
Inside, he missed. 2-1.
See, he's been going at it, and I said he's going to have to be successful with his fastball. He's only given up the 1 hit, but it was a fastball down and into Coco. He found his nitro zone. Yeah. But the way Kluber's been pitching, you don't want to fall behind by more than 2 right now.
2-1 count. And that's low. 3 balls and a strike.
Now he's nibbling to the wrong people.
Carlos Santana waiting on deck. He'd love to get another shot at that fastball that he swung through his first time up.
He sure would.
And a 3-1 pitch shoots it into right field. Naquin will have to stop at second because J.D. Martinez was playing rather shallow, but that's 3 straight, reaching safely with 2 out in the inning.
Yeah, now Rich Doobie's going to take a little stroll to the mound and have a talk with Buck Farmer. And you get the count in your favor. He hit a pretty good pitch, a fastball away, but it's there when you're Roberto Perez, you know you're going to get a heater. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can just look out over the plate, put a nice smooth swing on it like he did, and you keep the inning going. That's only the 2nd hit, but he walked 2 in the inning. And boy, this is the last thing the Tigers wanted to do.
You mentioned it before, Rick, that the Tigers are sort of in a must-win situation. You know, games are dwindling down. You've only got a few remaining games rest of the week. Season ends on Sunday. They've got Verlander scheduled to go tomorrow, which means he's set up to pitch the season finale on Sunday, if needed. If they somehow wrap up a wild card spot before that, then they would hold him out and pitch him in that wild card game.
Right.
Now Carlos Santana gets his 2nd chance against Farmer, and it's ball 1 inside.
That's one of the first sliders I've seen him throw today. But he missed with it. So really, no harm if you're an Indian. You keep taking that pitch. You don't sit on that pitch. Sit on the fastball.
Tyler Naquin is at second base. Roberto Perez down at first. And now J.D. Martinez, knowing that Santana can turn a fastball around, he's not guarding the gap. He's more straight up in right field.
Yeah, but you look how deep Maben is in center.
Low 2-0.
Yeah, Farmer right now is getting himself in trouble pitching from behind in the count. And I think that bullpen, they're starting to get loose out there and get the blood flowing before they start throwing, but it won't be long.
Yeah, I see some people springing into action.
Right now, Santana can sit on that 2-0 heater here, and if you don't get it, you spit on it. But look, zone in and take a cut.
Way outside, 3-0.
See, they've got him disheveled now. That's a 2-0 changeup. He's missing with everything.
All right, so put your hitter's cap on here. 3-0. Is this a green light all the way for Santana if he likes it?
Sure, I would. I'd give it to him. Absolutely right. The way he's swinging the bat, why wouldn't you? 3-0, you know, he doesn't swing a lot 3-0. Maybe he's going to be taking, but I would zone in.
Upstairs, ball 4, and the bases are loaded on the third walk of the inning.
And you are going to see that bullpen getting up now, I guarantee it.
Jason Kipnis will be the batter, and Brad Ausmus knows his team may be running out of time quickly in this one.
Here you go.
Kyle Ryan, a left-hander, trying to get loose as quickly as he can, but it won't be until after the Kipnis at bat is over at the earliest.
Well, sure, because that's why they're stalling for time now. Let that guy get some throws in out there. They're going to take as much time until that home plate umpire says, all right, boys, let's go.
Yeah, Rich Doobie's already been out, so the next visit to the mound, they've got to take him out in this inning. In the meantime, Kipnis, he's got to wait and see if he throws him a strike, probably.
Right. Now you remain patient, and you just zone in for fastball down the middle. Base hit here would do wonders for the Indians.
Already up 2-0.
Change up. That's okay. And Kipnis has had a number of big base hits for the Tribe this year.
Might have been a fastball.
Oh, yeah.
A two-seamer comeback?
Yeah, it was. A little comeback to it. I thought it was a changeup.
The old mock cheer from the faithful here at Comerica Park.
Well, the one thing they haven't been able to do the last couple of days is deliver the knockout punch early.
And another strike. This one, Kipnis not in agreement. This looks like it's probably high.
Well, he's
maybe
been calling
inside.
These pitches. That's up.
That's not a strike.
No, I agree. I agree. There's no way that's a strike. But to the left-handers, he's been calling the up and in strike.
Now the 0-2. That's way inside.
Well, look at all the umpires behind the plate. They've been calling them. They expected that one. But you're going to see it's well off the plate inside. Keep going. See how far the umpire will go. I don't blame him for continuing to try.
1-2 pitch. In the dirt, smothered nicely by McCann. Once again, J.D. Martinez, he's been jockeying around quite a bit in right field. With Santana at the plate, he was more straight up. Now with Kipnis, he's over guarding that triple alley.
I don't think Farmer wants to go 3-2 with already 3 walks in the inning.
The 2-2. Big chopper, first base side, and he gets out of the inning. But Coco Crisp crushes one deep right field, and the Indians take a 2-0 lead, middle of the second.
postseason tickets by purchasing 2017 Indians season tickets. You'll get priority access to the postseason this year, opening day next year, team shop discounts. Go to Indians.com postseason for more details.
Victor Martinez chops one up the middle, and it gets through. Even with the shift on, Martinez finds a hole, and the Tigers have their first base runner.
Boy, that's like threading the needle right there. Wasn't hit that hard. Kluber made a good pitch. Victor went after the first pitch over the head, but has enough of it, and that's Ramirez diving for that ball, your third baseman, right up the middle. So that'll be Detroit's first hit.
And now a tough out for Corey Kluber. J.D. Martinez has the best home batting average in the American League this year, hitting .360 here at Comerica. A first pitch strike.
Well, you can see he likes it middle of the plate there, but I'll tell you what, if you let him extend it, he can just shoot it to right field.
Like that.
Yeah.
Deep right. And we're tied.
That's on an 0-2 pitch, man. You pitch him away and he wears this ballpark out to right field. So two hitters back, and they come back and answer. So for Corey Kluber, a seeing eye hit and an 0-2 home run, and we are back to even. For J.D. Martinez, his 22nd home run and his 68th ribby.
That came back over the plate, and it was squared up by J.D. Martinez. 22 homers, 68 runs batted in. And now Justin Upton, who has been some kind of hot for Detroit. Back on June the 1st, Justin Upton was batting .217. He had 3 home runs and 11 runs batted in. Since then, in 99 games, he's batted .257, so 40 points higher. And he's hit 25 home runs and driven in 71.
Yeah, he has been.
And that goes along with so many players this year in this, the year of the home run in Major League Baseball. There are a lot of stories just like Justin Upton's out there this year. Kenry Morales of the Royals, we just saw Kansas City. On June 6th, he was hitting a .191. Since then, he's batted .305, and he's hit 24 homers in 94 games.
Yeah.
Jeff Passan of Yahoo Sports had a great story today about this being the year of the home run and some of the numbers that go with it. And, you know, we've tracked this for quite some time. Coming into play today, 698 more home runs hit this year than a year ago. Right, strike 3 called. Upton rung up. That's the third K for Kluber. Jeff Passan writes that going into Sunday, Major League Baseball's hitters have homered in 3.06% of their plate appearances. Now that number doesn't sound like a lot, and it's hard to sort of, what does that mean, right? Well, never before have they cracked 3% in the history of the game.
Yeah, well, we know one thing.
Not in the steroid era, not during the 1987 rabbit ball year, not 1961 when Maris had the big year. but more players are hitting home runs now than ever before. Nobody's like off the charts, like in the Barry Bonds kind of numbers.
Yeah, where you're getting up to 70, right.
But more players are kind of coming to the middle. No balls and a strike to count on Eric Ibar. Jeff writes that on Sunday, Jung-Ho Kang of the Pirates became the 103rd player to reach 20 home runs this year. That ties the Major League Baseball record that was set in 2000. We still have a week to go.
Yeah.
Fly ball to left.
102, you say?
103rd player this year to reach the 20 home run mark. Now, Jeff goes on to write that strikeouts are up. 8 strikeouts per 9 innings are being averaged this year. So he writes, are hitters simply just selling out now for the home run ball, maybe more than we've ever seen before?
I would think so.
That could be a possibility.
I would think so.
He offers some interesting examples, too. Hernan Perez from Milwaukee.
Right.
He had 1 home run in his first 351 career plate appearances. He's hit 13 this year. Jose Altuve of Houston, who we all know is a great player. He's hit more home runs this year than in his first 4 years combined. So the home run ball is up in baseball, and J.D. Martinez's home run ball has tied this game at 2. And Francisco Lindor will lead off for the Tribe. Lindor grounded out to first base his first time up. The Indians just completed 9-game homestand. Lindor played in 8 of those games. He singled in his first at bat of the homestand and did not have a hit the rest of the way.
Which is rare for a guy who was hitting so well in his home ballpark. He was, second, I think, all year long going into that homestand. At times, he was leading. Well, Buck Farmer,
I tell you what, Archie, he's not going to be long for this game if he keeps.
No. Well, you know, they bailed him out after he gives up the home run. They come right back and they answer. So his job is just
a 4-pitch walk.
That is not the way you wanted to start.
Time for an in-game update. Let's go back to Al Pawlowski. That story is just amazing. So D. Gordon goes to bat, Arch, and he goes up and he stands in the right side of the batter's box first pitch. Then he goes back to the left side and hits his first home run of the year off Bartolo Colon. And he's in tears as he's rounding the bases. I mean, it's just chilling.
Yeah, that's got to be very difficult to play. And I heard he was wearing Fernandez's helmet. Is that correct?
That I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Well, Mike Napoli walked his first time up, and a little jam shot to short. They'll get the out at second and on to first. He didn't get him with the tag. Cabrera whiffed, and Napoli will be safe on a fielder's choice.
Well, first of all, that ball wasn't hit that hard, and it looked like Napoli slipped out of the box, but that throw back to first base brought him off first base, and they couldn't make the tag. So there's going to be the second double play unturned. The Indians made him pay for the first one. You see the swipe by Cabrera. He couldn't get him. So Napoli will be safe. So that, to me, a lot of times you get burned with that unturned double play.
And Jose Ramirez, who scored ahead of the home run by Coco Crisp in the second inning, will be the batter. I'm sure the scene down in Miami tonight for Yankees fans must be somewhat reminiscent of the first game after Thurman Munson was killed in the plane crash in Ohio.
Yeah, and none of those guys were around for that.
And
so
didn't Bobby Mercer get to have a big game? And he was very close to Thurman. Might have had the game-winning hit. But you're right. From an emotional standpoint, it's got to be very difficult for those players to go out and pull it together and just play a game. Now the 1-0. And Ramirez takes a strike.
That bullpen's back up, throwing again for Detroit. The lefty's back up.
And Ramirez, I tell you what, a number of Indians hitters have not been real happy with home plate umpire Trip Gibson already.
But it has been a strike consistently. He's calling it. So maybe if you want to make a little adjustment, if you're a hitter,
look in.
And you step back off the plate a couple inches if he's going to call that pitch in there, and then it wouldn't be as bad. You know, normally for what your eyes are used to seeing, you may have to make an adjustment. And, you know, if he's given that pitch in there, he can't give the outside part of the plate as well. At least I wouldn't think so. But adjustments sometimes you need to make because of the umpire's calls.
Napoli's at first with one out. The 2-2 on its way. And a chopper foul. Buck Farmer has already made 60 pitches, and there's only one out here in the third inning.
And you can see it split. That's not the way you want to attack this offense.
Now Ryan, the left-hander, is getting hot again in the Detroit bullpen. You get the feeling that Farmer is one more base runner allowed from being out of this game. The 2-2 jammed and popped him up.
It made him swing the bat. That ball almost hit him.
2 down. Don't think I've seen Ramirez offer at a pitch quite like that all season long.
That ball came so close to hitting him. You watch. This is almost like it's batting practice. You're messing around and you're going to swing at everything. That ball might have hit him on the side if he didn't hit it. So if he's, well, then you got to move off the dish, boys.
Lonnie Chisenhall, the batter, fly to center, his only time up. And a strike called to Chisenhall.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's an awfully wide strike zone today. Now, he did call that one away. So right now, I'm confused. I don't know what you would do. How do you walk 4 guys when you have a strike zone as big as Day?
Cabrera makes the play at first to end the inning. Middle of the third, tied at 2. Detroit here in the bottom of the third, and we'll go downstairs to Andre Knott.
Well, when you talk about the Jose Fernandez situation, it's obviously a touching moment down in Miami that you guys just showed, but also for Jose Iglesias here. He's a friend, our former friend of Fernandez's. Yesterday, he couldn't even start in yesterday's game. He was taken out of the starting lineup. Now, he did come in the game later on. He said he was able to shake it away, and he ended up pinch hitting in the 9th inning and hit a double. But it was obviously a moment that really caused a lot of strain on him as well yesterday.
Now you can certainly imagine as Iglesias hit by pitch will go down to first. The story has just been horrific for Major League Baseball, for the young players that he played with down in Miami, his teammates. I'm watching the video of that home run that Deke Gordon hit. It's unbelievable. I mean, the poor guy could barely get around the bases. I mean, just tears just completely overcome with emotion. Ian Kinsler swings and fouls one back. The outpouring of well wishes from all over baseball, I think, is the thing that really stuck with me. And I know it's the social media day and age we live in makes it easy for people to, send that out there very publicly. But I mean, you think about players from all across the league, guys that didn't even know him other than competing against him. There's a throw down to second, close. Did they get the tag on him? Yes, they did. Iglesias erased and helped to his feet by Lindor.
He had a pretty good jump. But you look at Perez, the throws on the shortstop side, but look at, there's the tag. It was actually right there. He's trying to pull a Lindor slide on Lindor.
I think they might have a chance to
we'll
review
see.
this
Let's
one.
look and see, does he stay on the bag? Now he gets him, but is he off the bag with the foot? And I think he was. Frankie kept the tag on him, which was really good.
At some point,
he did that same slide that Lindor does to a lot of guys. He gives you the arm, he pulls it away, the swim move as they call it. But I think he overslid the bag.
Now the 1-1 pitch to Kinsler. And he hung one, and it's in the left field for a single. Third hit for Detroit.
I know the front hand gets away from him. But here comes the tag. It's on the leg. His one hand is in. But then it comes off the bag.
Yeah,
then the foot
just
comes
momentarily off.
He was off the bag there.
Yep.
And there's the foot off the bag, too, by a fraction of an inch.
Maybe they'll put a handle on second base at some point.
I'll tell you what, you don't realize how hard those bases are when you go in there. And, I mean, if you hit one of those corners, I mean, they are rock hard, man.
Hard to hold on to.
There's no give. So when you're going and your momentum's carrying, it's tough to grab onto anything. And I mean, if your fingers jam into it, you're gonna pop something in there. It hurts.
Chopped up the middle. Lindor's there. He'll tag the bag.
Nice play.
Get the force for out number 2.
I thought Frankie was going to need a left leg that was going to be about 4 or 5 feet long. He went up the middle. If it was hit a little softer, they had a perfect double play. But you can see he's about 6-7 feet away from the bag. He's got to rush to beat Kinsler, who comes in quickly. And a nice defensive play to get the lead runner.
So 2 down for Miguel Cabrera, who struck out his first time up.
You know, you get back to that Fernandez saying it's a small fraternity in baseball. You know, when things like this happen, and I mean, everybody comes out, and he was so well liked and such a competitor throughout the game of baseball. He had the utmost respect of everybody.
Corey Kluber with the 0-1 offering. Eduardo Perez had such a touching tribute to Fernandez on TV. I was watching him, and he was saying that how when he first came into the league, people didn't quite understand. I mean, he was so exuberant over everything. He'd strike a guy out, he'd celebrate. A teammate would get a hit, he'd be celebrating in the dugout. And people were like, enough already with it. But then they got to know him and got to realize that's just who he
genuine.
was.
Yeah.
And he talked to opposing players. There's some great video. I mean, he swung and missed at the guy from the Dodgers, Cada, I think it is. He threw him a slider, swung and missed. You could see him mouth the words, "What was that?" Just a shame. Just such a tragic story for baseball, and in particular the Marlins organization. Terry Francona was saying, I don't know. He said, genuinely, he said, I don't know how they get through the rest of the season. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, the only good thing is there's a week left, if there's any saving grace there.
Now the 1-2. Popped up foul, out of play. I mean, I think a lot of folks thought the same thing back in 1993. You know, how would the Indians, how would they get through the season? That happened right
just starting
toward the end of spring training. And Mike Hargrove, probably outside of Cleveland, maybe never got enough credit for the job he did. Just trying to keep the ship afloat, keep everybody together.
And wife Sharon was dealing with all the wives and everybody else. It was really an unbelievable situation.
And as I said yesterday, no matter what your experiences are in life, no manager's prepared to have that.
Yeah, you don't manage
scenario.
You manage baseball games. You don't manage things like that in life.
1 on, 2 out for Detroit, and 1-2 pitch to Miguel Cabrera is hit high, but not deep enough. Tyler Naquin's there and makes the catch. So we've played 3 in the Motor City. It's a 2-2 ball game. And a cold one here this evening. To stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Coco Crisp will lead off the fourth for Cleveland. His two-run homer got the Indians on the board first here tonight. But the Tigers came right back and got a two-run homer from J.D. Martinez to tie it.
See this fastball down and in. Boy, and he got the barrel head of the bat to it. Coco no stranger, though, to playing in this ballpark. He's played very well. He had a playoff game here where he was outstanding. (2013) game 3 and 4. He was 7 for 9 in those two games in this ballpark. How about that for a hot streak?
At the right time.
Yeah, at the absolute right time.
Well, he doesn't have quite the postseason experience that Mike Napoli has, but you know, he's been there. He won a world championship, part of that 07 club with Terry Francona that beat the Indians and went on and won it all. No, he's hit better than .280 in his career in the postseason. Just over 30 games. Now the 3-1 offering. And another generous strike call. I think it's been interesting what Terry has done with Coco too. It's almost when he came over, sort of eased him in, and he's just, as a veteran, kind of enabled him to kind of catch his breath, keep his leg, and now as we get closer to the end, he's
It's almost like spring training, getting you ready for the season.
Yeah, playing him. I don't know if he's going to play him every day, but he's been playing him almost on an everyday basis now lately. Behind the bag, fair ball. Miguel Cabrera flips it to first, one away. Let's go down to Andre.
Well, the curious thing about Coco's playing time and Abe Almonte's is that Tito has had to kind of finesse through this. He understands with the playoffs coming that he's not going to be able to use Abe. But he's told me a couple times, he goes, when Abe is swinging the bat halfway decent, it's hard to take him out of the lineup. I think this has been more difficult than Tito's probably let on at times in trying to get Coco prepared and get him ready, but also win ball games at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Coco keeps hitting home runs. It'll be just fine. I remember a big 3-run homer he hit. Was it against Miami? And the big one tonight.
Farmer takes it himself. And he has rebounded nicely. He was almost out of this game in that second inning, but he got Kipnis to ground out with the bases loaded. And he breezed through the third despite walking the leadoff batter. 2 quick outs here in the fourth. George, he was born George Farmer in Conyers, Georgia. Was drafted by the Atlanta Braves right out of high school, but it was one of those late round pick deals. He chose to stay in Atlanta, but he pitched at Georgia Tech instead of for the Braves. And then eventually the Tigers made him a 5th round pick. So he left the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech and came to the Motor City. Made his major league debut only a year after the Tigers drafted him. Is there an organization that gets their guys to the big leagues faster than Detroit?
Detroit, maybe Chicago, at least their pitchers.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only other one I could think of.
Primarily pitchers. Yeah, both organizations.
Yeah.
They just don't waste any time. And the 2-strike pitch. Way off the plate. Low. Strike 3 called. He took one right down the heart of the plate. It's only the second strikeout for Farmer. But for the second time tonight, he retires this side in order. And in the American League, the most consecutive starts this season with at least 7 strikeouts. Corey Kluber.
And that is active. And tomorrow night we'll see Justin Verlander pitching against the Tribe. Carrasco had 6.
Victor Martinez will lead off this 4th inning. He led off the 3rd with a base hit, and then J.D. Martinez homered on an 0-2 pitch, and just like that, we had a tie ball game.
Victor hit the first pitch his first time up, and it just went right over second base.
One ball, 1 strike. With the shift on, there's Jason Kipnis from the outfield grass. 1 down. This was the home run that tied the game in the 2nd.
Boy, that fastball came back over the plate, 0-2. I thought he might go with his slider, 0-2, but that fastball came back, and Martinez likes to extend the arms. He hits very well in this ballpark, and that is a haven for him going to right field. There's a pitch where Perez was sitting inside, and that ball went down and away.
Low, 2-0. Good off-speed pitch that time from Kluber, and he had Martinez fooled. It's 2-1. Got in on him, but he muscles it into center field for a single, and he's 2 for 2.
Came back with the fastball this time, and he's trying to run it inside. That went to the inner part of the plate, but not enough to where JD could, muscle it into center field. So that is the 4th hit now for Detroit. He has 2 of them.
And it brings up Justin Upton, who was called out on strikes his first time up. Upton did his fair share of damage in Cleveland when the Tigers came to town.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of damage to everybody. If you throw him that fastball middle away and you don't get it away, he can crush it.
Just off the outside edge.
You can see, like it down the heart of the plate, he can crush it. Like most major league hitters.
Yeah, if you've got a cold spot in the middle,
yeah, you're in trouble. You won't be here.
Missed inside.
That piece of pie everybody likes right there.
Two balls and a strike as Kluber deals, and that's low, 3-1. Eric Ibar waits on deck. Quite a contrast from Upton to Ibar. Upton 28 homers, Ibar 1. So he walks him, and now there are 2 aboard. Don't let that fool you, though. Ibar can handle the bat. More times than not, he'll put it in play. He can spray it around, and he can still do damage in a different sort of way.
Well, it's never too early to make your spring training plans. You can bask in the sun in Goodyear and let us plan your trip with a ticket and travel assistance, unique fan experiences, and much, much more. Go to Indians.com spring training for more information. Give me a chance to wish them happy birthdays out there. Dorothy Showalter is 90 from Dover, Ohio. Roy Jameson, 78 from Vincent, Ohio. Happy birthday.
Well, this Tigers crowd trying to make a little noise. Ibar flied to left his first time up. And that's sometimes, you know, he'll shoot it that way. Just kind of, he'll just kind of smack it out there. When he was with the Angels, he'd use all fields, spray it around, and he could be a tough out.
Well, they always found a way to put the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a tough guy to strike out. A lot of times he makes contact.
And there's a line drive. Oh, one hop. Kipnis got to it, but the flip out of his glove was wild, and the bases are loaded.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was going to get to it. That's probably the only chance he had was the flip. Watch his momentum carrying him away. The ump got to get out of the way. And once he gets there, he tried to flip it, but when he did, it caught the end of his glove and it went straight up in the air. So no chance to get the guy at second base, Upton. So they will now have the bases loaded and 1 out. And McCann, the hitter. So the Kluber's going to look for a strikeout or a ground ball double play. Detroit trying to take the lead.
James McCann flied to right, his first time up. And on the year, McCann has grounded into a dozen double plays. Kluber with a first pitch strike. just off the outside corner. That was up to 95 miles an hour.
Danny Otero up in the Indians bullpen.
Two and one to count. And that goes right back to the screen to even it up 2-2. James McCann. The number 8 hitter in the lineup. You got Jose Iglesias, the 9th place hitter, right behind him. But Kluber would love to get that 2-for-1 ball right here.
That or the punch out on a slider.
This might not be deep enough. Naquin charging in, makes the catch, and the runner has to hold. He's got a good strong arm, and there was really no chance for JD Martinez to tag and score, and there are 2 away.
Well, that's the next best thing, a little pop-up that Naquin had to come in, and you're right, you can't take a chance of sending him there. Too shallow, so you got to hope to try to get a 2-out base hit now. And Kluber has a chance to work his way out of this inning.
Jose Iglesias was hit by a pitch from Kluber his first time up. Two-two ball game here in the bottom of the 4th. JD Martinez with a line shot to center. Justin Upton walked, and then Ibar reached on the ball that Kipnis made a nice play to get to it, but he couldn't make a good flip to get a force out. But the Tigers trying to cash in. Kluber trying to keep this game knotted up. And a fastball at 95 miles an hour.
Keep it right there.
Right over the outside part of the plate.
Hey, you know what? If he calls it, you got to throw it there. It's off the plate, but he's calling it. The hitters are shaking their head. They can't believe it. Stay there.
Especially, he's been calling it all night, as you said, both ways.
Yeah. It's a huge strike zone tonight. There you go. And you're forced to swing at it. You know, so, okay, he got a piece to stay alive. He didn't want to swing at it. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a called 3rd strike. So you could even maybe squirt it out there another couple of inches away off the plate and see if he goes after it. He loves the pitch down. You could bounce a slider, but then you're taking a chance.
Fastball that was well off the plate.
There you go.
Why
Keep
not?
going out there. I mean, at least you get that hitter leaning out, looking. If he can reach it, he's got to swing at it right now. It is definitely a pitcher's strike zone.
He shoots it toward second. Kipnis is there, throws to first. Close play, and they got him by a whisker. Iglesias hustling down the line, made it close, but Kipnis atones for the misflip, and he fires a seed to Napoli, and the inning is over. Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. Beautiful night here in Detroit, Michigan. And it's a 2-2 ball game, 5th inning. Carlos Santana will lead it off for Cleveland. Buck Farmer has made 75 pitches. 40 of those have been strikes. He started this game. The first 60 pitches, 30 balls, 30 strikes. And it didn't look like he would get out of the 2nd inning. But boy, when you don't knock a guy out, they have a way of hanging around. And here he is pitching into the 5th now. And it's 0-2 on Santana.
Well, and the Indians with 2 hits, both of them coming in that 2nd inning.
Kinsler can't come up with it. And Santana is aboard. I tell you what, he's probably 40, 45, 50 feet away from his normal position. And he had to go a long way to get it at that.
It's not an easy thing to do because that's like you're playing in the grass out there. It's like being an outfielder and you're ranging to your left. So normally an infielder out there, you're not going to get, you know, good hops like you would in on the dirt. So that's off his glove. It'll go as a base hit for Santana.
And now Jason Kipnis 0 for 2 digs in. And he takes low, ball 1. Kipnis, when he was batting in the 2nd inning with the bases loaded, he became victim of what soon became a rather erratic strike zone, because in that inning Farmer had walked 2 already. Actually 3. He had walked 3 in the inning. This is down the line with foul and bounces out of play. But the first pitch to Jason, he didn't think it was a strike. The second pitch certainly was not a strike. And then next thing you know, it's 0-2 after he had basically walked his way into that jam. And then he got help, put Kipnis on the defensive, and he grounded out to end the inning. Sometimes that's all it takes to turn the tide of momentum. Back out of play. 1-2 the count. Missed inside. Evens the count at 2-2. I don't know how accurate the stadium temperature gauge is.
Yeah.
But it was 65 when we started. And just a little, man, an hour and a half later, we're down 6 degrees. Down to 59.
We started this inning, it was 61. I looked up there.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
Something's wrong with that thing then. It's not like there's an Arctic clipper moving through here.
It is breezy. We are in Michigan now. They have their tiger suits out.
It is officially fall. And that cool autumn air filling the stadium tonight. 2-2 ball game in the 5th. Leadoff man aboard. 3-2 count for Jason Kipnis. Buck Farmer. About to make the payoff pitch. See if Santana's running. He is. Kipnis shoots one deep left center. That's in the alley. That will get down and short hop the fence. Coming around third. Santana will score the go-ahead run. And Jason Kipnis, one of the top doubles men in the American League, delivers his 38th two-bagger of the year, drives home his 81st run, and Cleveland leads it 3-2.
And they caught a break there because the ball stayed in the ballpark. and it allowed Santana to score. He got a fastball up out over the plate. You see where McCann has to reach back for it. And Kipnis did exactly what he had to do, drive it into the alley. Now there's where they catch the break. It hits under the yellow line. That enables Santana to score instead of bouncing over. Even though there's no one out, they come right back and take the lead.
Well, Jason Kipnis, you talk about being clutch. 23 of his RBIs this year have given the Indians a lead, and that is the most on the club. Now Francisco Lindor. Bunts in at third. Ibar will go to first. The sacrifice puts Jason Kipnis at third base with one out. Our great clip of the game from June 25th. Francisco Lindor had himself quite an afternoon here in Detroit, hitting not one but 2 home runs.
Yeah, his only multi-home run game of his career, his young career. But you know, when you remember, you go back, he had his first major league hit here, and a lot of good memories in this ballpark for Frankie. But right there, he decided to move the runner over to try to bring the infield in and give Mike Napoli an opportunity to drive in another run, give him a free at bat here.
Eric Ibar at third, Jose Iglesias at short. Those two guys, their throat has to be a big lump in there right now with the way Napoli swings. Fastball in there for a strike to even the count. You don't realize how much closer that is from the S.
You're 90 feet away.
The edge of that turn all the way to that cut.
Know it. 90 feet away. That's no fun when you got a guy that can hit the ball as hard as Napoli.
He sends a high drive, deep center, Maben back room to make the catch, but Knapp does his job. Coming home and scoring is Kipnis. It's 4-2 Cleveland.
So there you go. They get there after Kipnis's double. Nobody out. You get him over. You get him in on the sacrifice fly, and they put 2 on the board. And Napoli, there was no doubt about that, was certainly deep enough. Straightaway center, about 400 feet away.
And up comes Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez has not been on the same page as Trip Gibson here tonight. Remember his last time up, because of the strike zone, he swung at a pitch that almost hit him.
Yes,
he fouled out.
He sure did.
But as you said, I understand the frustration, but you're not going to change his strike zone by complaining. You've just got to try to make the best adjustment you can.
Right. Do whatever you can. My thought was step back, but then he's calling some off the plate too.
There's a long fly to left, but Upton will have a routine catch. The Indians put a couple of hits together and score a couple of runs. Santana and Kipnis both come on home. 4-2 Cleveland. inning, at least I was surprised last inning to see Dan Otero warming up in the bullpen. Now I'm really surprised that the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made, because Corey Kluber had only executed 60 pitches here tonight. So
that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary because that stops his string. He had 14 consecutive starts of at least 6 innings. So I don't know if he's not feeling well. We'll find out. We'll hear something shortly, but that's not good.
Let's hope, keep our fingers crossed, that it's nothing serious, the way the injury bug has been hitting this team of late. Dan Otero comes on to face the top of the order here in the 5th inning.
In the hands of the bullpen now.
And even though the Indians have taken the lead, because he only goes 4, Kluber cannot qualify for what it would have been a new career high in wins. Ian Kinsler 1 for 2. And a strike to the outside corner. And Otero goes right back to throwing strikes. 2 quick ones.
He does that every time he comes out. This is a guy that's a strike throwing machine.
'61st appearance on the year. And Otero logged 67 2/3 innings. His ERA is 1.46.
Yeah. What a surprise and a job that Dan Otero has done this year.
Up the middle, and another seeing eye single for Detroit.
Yeah, no 2 base hit, but it was a good pitch, and Kinsler just fought it off and hit it right back up the middle.
In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Coco Crisp, a 2-run homer in the top of the 2nd, gave the Indians the early lead, but right back came the Tigers. J.D. Martinez hit one almost in the same spot. That tied it until Jason Kipnis drove home the go-ahead run here in the 5th, and then Kipnis would score on a sacrifice fly to make it 4-2. Now Cameron Maben, and hits one toward Kipnis. He looks to second, but he'll take the out at first base.
Smart. He wanted to spin and throw to second base, but he wasn't sure. You got to make a good throw, and you have to get an out in this situation. So he decides, I'm just going to go to first base. He wanted to, and he just didn't feel like he had maybe a good grip on the baseball, but he got the out at first. Wise play there by Jason. The last thing you want to do is make a spin to throw to second base and pull him off the base. You get first and second, you're coming into the middle part of the lineup. Yeah. So no problem with that play there. He just obviously didn't have a good grip and didn't feel good about it.
And Miguel Cabrera tonight 0 for 2. Right back up the middle again. Coming around third, Kinsler will score. And the Tigers answer right back. Cut the lead to 1 run at 4-3.
Well, they did that back in the 2nd inning. After the Indians got on the board, they came right back in a hurry, and on 6 pitches, they have a run. They have a run right back, and still just 1 out in the inning. Cabrera right back up the middle. Kinsler comes in to score. It is now a 4-3 ball game.
Victor Martinez will be the batter. He singled and scored ahead of the home run by J.D. Martinez in the 2nd. Grounded out his last time up. Fastball, strike 1. Victor Martinez, another guy who's a double play candidate. He's grounded into 17 double plays this year.
Yeah, just if you get him to hit it to one of your fielders. That's the key. But for these guys, they seem to find holes no matter where they are. There you go. That's the double play.
Lindor to Ramirez on to first. That'll end the inning. Tigers get a run back. We played 5. It's Cleveland 4, Detroit 3.
Perks, including savings and access to Tribe Rewards. And today's Tribe Rewards TV code is Terry. Visit Indians.com season tickets for complete details. And Terry is going to have to try and get that bullpen working. A surprise where Kluber had to come out of this game after 4 innings. He has got to rely on his boys out there beyond the wall. And Kyle Ryan comes in for the Detroit Tigers after Buck Farmer went 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs allowed. He walked 4. A couple of strikeouts, gave up the 2-run homer to Coco. For the 53rd time, Ryan is on.
Lonnie Chisenhall will lead it off for Cleveland, then Coco Crisp and Tyler Naquin. Still no word on Corey Kluber's early exit here tonight. We'll pass it along just as soon as we hear anything. Andre is awaiting word from the Indians clubhouse. Lonnie Chisenhall flied to center and grounded to first. Ground ball, and Kinsler's there. 1 away. The puck drops on a new NHL season 1 month from tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Their home opener October 13th at Nationwide Arena. And you can watch it on your home for Blue Jackets hockey, Fox Sports Ohio. Countdown to Face-Off is presented by Wendy's. And now Coco Crisp, who had a 2-run homer in the second, grounded out his last time up. Ground ball foul. Coco's big jolt gave the Indians the early momentum here tonight. The Tribe has not trailed. The 1-1. right at Kinsler. And there are 2 down. Now we're going to get a pinch hitter as Rajai Davis will bat for Tyler Naquin. And obviously Rajai will stay in the game and play center field. Smash is short. And Iglesias makes a perfect throw. He had to get him. The Indians go 1-2-3, and we'll move to the bottom of the 6th. 4-3 Cleveland. And here in the bottom of the 6th, Rajai Davis takes over in center field as expected. Dan Otero gave up a run in the 5th. He'll stay on to pitch here in the 6th. And J.D. Martinez takes a pitch up and in, ball 1. After Martinez, it's Justin Upton and then Eric Ibar. And he did not go around. So it's 2-0. Right at the shortstop, Lindor. And he throws him out, 1 away. The injury report tonight brought to you by the attorneys at Elk and Elk. Nick Castellanos with a fracture in his left hand. He was hoping to try and get back in this last week of the season. I think he was going out to play an instructional league to get some at bats, but he's missed a lot of time now. His return, I would guess, is unlikely. Terry Francona's going back to his bullpen. Brian Shaw will be coming on when we come back. It's 4-3 Cleveland here in the 6th.
unstoppable drama. The 2016 postseason begins October 4th. Just visit Indians.com postseason for the full schedule.
Brian Shaw coming on for the Indians. And Shaw making his 74th appearance, 65 innings, 27 strikeouts, 66 strikeouts, 27 walks. And Brian has Justin Upton and Eric Ibar. It would appear, if things hold up, that Terry Francona will be leaning on Shaw, Miller, Allen
the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to log probably multiple innings, at least one of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is a playoff game right here. For whatever reason, Kluber came out after 4.
Still no word on what hastened his exit here tonight, though it certainly didn't have anything to do with pitch count, because he was only at 60. And he'd only given up 2 runs. Though he did have to work hard to get out of that bases loaded jam. Shaw pumps one by Upton, and it's 1-2. Out of play. Indians, with their 91st win of the season, will clinch the American League Central Division title. They lead it 4-3 here in the 6th.
Oh,
Upton
nice
goes fishing.
Yeah, he took something off. He threw the slider. He started them basically with all cutters, and he had a couple of pitches to hit early in the count. Let's look at that sequence from Shaw to Upton. You're going to see cutters coming out right there on the outside edge for a good strike 1. That one was elevated, and it was an even count. There was a little backup cutter. He fouled that one off, and then he's going to slow it down to him and get him to chase that slider out of the zone. Good pitch. Strikeout number 1.
Down in the dirt, ball 1 to Eric Ibar. Right groin tightness is the word from the Tigers press box officials on why Corey Kluber left tonight's game early.
Well, we didn't see that on anything.
A little bit outside, 2-1. And he misses upstairs, 3-1. Well, obviously find out more after the game, but you've got to hope that that's just precautionary and not something that could potentially hamper him in any way, because they need a Corey Kluber at full strength.
Boy,
if they're going to have any hope. Here's the payoff pitch. Man, that's low, ball 4. And that's going to bring up James McCann, the Tigers catcher, who is 0 for 2 tonight. McCann fly to right in the second, to center in the fourth. Want to know the count on McCann.
Perez wants to go out and talk to Shaw about what, I don't know. Ibar has not attempted a stolen base this year, at least since he's been with the Tigers. Let's put it that way.
He stole 3 but was caught 5 times earlier this year. Watch Kluber on this. See, he reaches down for that right groin area.
Good catch, boys. I didn't see that. Good catch.
I noticed it earlier but didn't think anything of it until they came out with that news, and I thought, you know, I wonder if it may be something that he's been dealing with.
Yeah.
And it just kind of.
I did not see that earlier.
And that was the last. Let's see, that was the second to last hitter he faced. He got the next 2 hitters out, McCann and Iglesias, to end that inning. So. Almost got away.
Well, you don't really expect this guy to run here in this situation, so don't waste your time throwing it over there and possibly throwing one away. Go get the hitter.
Out goes Roberto Perez again. And McCann with a 2-ball, 2-strike count and a lengthy at bat. With Ibar at first and 2 down, he is the tying run at first. That's blooped, and that's going to get in. On his way to third is Ibar, and he will stop there.
That was a good attempt by Chisenhall to go after. It wasn't hit that hard, and he could leave his feet and at least give it a try because he had Davis to come and back him up. So it was an effort well worth trying for. He couldn't come up with it off the end of the bat. I thought it was going to fall in anyway, but good effort. So they'll continue the inning after the 2-out walk. You get a bloop hit. In comes Davis. It's still first and third, 2 outs, and now Iglesias will get an opportunity.
And the thing to watch for with Iglesias is with Brian Shaw in that cutter, Iglesias is a guy who will try to shoot it through the right side.
He likes to, he gets aggressive early in the count on pitches down in the zone. And there's been a high strike zone tonight. But We'll see how Shaw goes at him.
4-3 Cleveland. We're in the 6th. The Tigers threatening with 2 outs. And he goes up the ladder for a fastball.
I like it. It's exactly the last time that Kluber faced him in that situation with the bases loaded and 2 outs. That's where he started him off. A good heater upstairs.
Out of play, right side.
Back comes Shaw, right? Get ahead 0-2. Now you go to work. Napoli going into Shaw to let him know that he's going to roll around and probably play behind McCann at first base.
Trying to shoot it over there, but that's well out of play, and it's 0-2. As Brian Shaw tries to put him away.
These guys are having problems getting on the same page, huh?
Yeah, I mean, a number of times. It's only the 4th hitter he's faced. In the dirt. 1-2.
I like that pitch. Down 0-2. And Iglesias will swing at these pitches when he's down. This one was just a little too far out in front of the plate. If he could have got it and bounced it around home plate, I think he would have had a chance to get him to swing. Perez did a nice job blocking it. But I like the idea and I like the call.
And that was almost in the dirt. Somehow he got the bat to the baseball.
Well, it cost him a bat. I think he broke his 9-iron right there trying to hit that pitch. Watch, this one's way down, and he will chase. And there it goes. A piece of the bat came off that cupped end there and chipped it. Oh, he's going with a new piece of lumber. He went from a light piece of wood to a dark piece of wood now.
And I don't think that one has the cupped end. It's a totally different model, right?
May not even be his bat. Who knows?
Out of play.
And he's just trying to put it in play. He's spoiling. He's making Shaw throw a lot of pitches here.
Well, again, this is only the 4th batter Shaw has faced. He's thrown 23 pitches.
Well, he had the first 2, and then he walked Ibar. Then McCann had a big long at bat, and now Iglesias doing the same thing. He's just trying to serve it the other way.
And out of play, it goes again.
This will drive a pitcher crazy. When you have a guy that's just trying to protect, to stay alive. He's fouling off pitch after pitch. The 9th pitch will be coming.
How do you like that? He rings him up on a pitch that was inside. Jose Iglesias getting a taste of what so many of the hitters have been experiencing here tonight. The inning is over. The Indians still lead it by a run. Ford, built Ford tough. By the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. And by Adventure, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. The famous Fox Theater, just outside Comerica Park here in downtown Detroit. Inside the ballpark, another pitching change. Justin Wilson, another left-hander. He will replace Kyle Ryan. Ryan worked a scoreless 6th inning. The pitch is a called strike. In the air, right field, pretty well hit. Back goes J.D. Martinez, and he's at the wall, and it's gone. Roberto Perez goes opposite field for his 3rd home run of the year. And the Indians extend their lead to 5-3.
Boy, how about that?
Little Oppo power.
What a pleasant surprise that was. Taking it that way. You can see that short porch in right field. He stayed back enough, and Justin Wilson, he was pumped, and he should be. He got a fastball out over the plate and didn't know if it was going to get there. Back goes J.D. Martinez, but not before it gets into the seat, and yes, indeed. Thrilled to death. That's the 6th home run given up by Justin Wilson. And boy, that's a nice one swing of the bat to get a run there. He's got to be thrilled. You see Callaway right there with a big smile on his face. He says, "Thank you."
Carlos Santana swings and misses. Santana singled and scored in the 5th inning. So far, the Indians scoring has all come in pairs tonight. 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 5th. We'll see if they can double up again here in the 7th. Santana earlier tonight walked for the 95th time this year. He's 3rd in the American League in drawing base on balls. That ball's tagged pretty well. Deep center. Back goes Maben. And just shy of the warning track, he brings it down. I mean, it's 420 out there. It's a big yard, but sometimes you just never know. We saw a game here the other day we were watching on television. And in the 9th inning, it was Paulo Orlando. He went down and smoked one that short hopped that wall and
with
straight away.
2 strikes to tie the game.
Yeah.
That one on Saturday really sent him reeling.
Yeah, that's a game the Tigers, I mean, let's face it, they had already put that in the win column. You've got your closer on. You're up to 2. Was it 2?
Yes, it was 4-2.
Yeah.
They put 5 on the board. And then, didn't get any better the next day. They came out and they scored 4 in the very 1st inning. Kansas City did against Detroit, and they hit for the cycle.
And their starting pitcher didn't record an out.
Exactly. And they went on to, well, they lost 12-9. They couldn't recoup. They scored 9 runs, and it hasn't been good since that game. They thought they had it rolling. That would have gave them 6 straight wins if they win that game on Saturday. So they're playing their last 4 home games against the Tribe before they head out on the road, and they finish the season in Atlanta.
Now the 0-2 offering. Way outside, a ball and 2 strikes. Kipnis, a key hit his last time up. He doubled to deep left center. He split the alley. and drove home Carlos Santana. And then he would later come home on the sac fly by Mike Napoli.
Put a really good swing on a fastball that was a little up and out over the plate. His 38th double. I'm sure he'd like to get a couple more too to hit that 40 mark.
Chases one down and away. 2 down. If you've noticed, when we have taken the shots at the Indians dugout, it may resemble more of a football team than a baseball team, just in terms of sheer numbers. Let's go down to Andre Knott for more on that.
Well, it's not all about the numbers. You're right. I know it's September and you call up extra guys, and the Indians have a lot of guys, but there's some other guys in that group of people. You may see Michael Brantley sitting there in the middle. You may see Yan Gomes sitting in there. Carlos Carrasco. Because the team, its magic numbers down to 1. Terry Francona wanted all the guys that have something to do with this team to be here. He said the injured guys deserve to be here. They're a part of this team. They're a big part of why they're here. He wants them to be able to celebrate when the team celebrates. So he basically said, if you're a part of the team, get up here. And all the guys are here. And you know what? It's been you said it, Arch, I think in the second inning when they first scored. You know, that it was a lot of noise coming from down here.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a noisy group. It's been a different atmosphere down in this dugout.
You know, I saw when Coco hit that ball out, I just looked down in the dugout, boy, and it was just a different feeling in there.
There's an energy in here, and Brantley actually left away from the bullpen. He told me don't tell anybody why yet. But I think he wants to be down here.
Why wouldn't you? You get down there with the boys, you need some runs.
He would play if he could, trust me.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
Just make sure he stays clear of the dog pile.
Yeah, and we got to make sure that one shoulder stays out of things. But he's ready, don't worry.
Watch the bench.
Watch the bench after Coco hit it. They knew it. Here we go. All right, boys, we got the lead. Well, Detroit has fought back every time the Indians have been on the board tonight. They matched the Indians too with 2 of their own in the second. The Indians put 2 on in the 5th. Detroit came back and got 1 quickly. So here's the Indians with 1 on in the 7th. So you know Detroit's going to want to come back, and they're going to the top part of their lineup.
3-1 count for Lindor. And he draws a walk to keep the inning alive from Mike Napoli.
2 out walks. You hate them.
Don't forget to get your postseason tickets, or I should say your postseason priority by getting season tickets for next year. You'll have opening day priority, access to Tribe Rewards, so much more. Visit Indians.com/postseason or call the Indians at 216-420-HITS. Games 1 and 2 of the division series have already sold out. That took about an hour. Here's Mike Napoli now. And it's in the dirt ball. 1 good block by McCann. Also saw Steve Carsey and Chris Trimmey down in the Indians dugout from the Indians minor league player development system. They've had different coaches and managers from the minor leagues up this month once their season ended. We saw Dave Wallace when we were back in Cleveland, who led the Eastern League champs, the Akron Rubber Ducks, to championship. Lindor at first with 2 down. 1-1 count for Napoli. Mike started the night tied for 8th in the American League with 100 RBIs. He added number 101 with that sacrifice fly in the 5th. He's already had a career year offensively, in addition to the number of games played.
he will be looking at I would think, a pretty good payday in the offseason, whether it's a return to the Indians or a big free agent offer somewhere else.
Well, he's stepped up. He's had some kind of year. They've loved him in Cleveland. Party at Naps and everything just took off out of nowhere. And he wants to stay here too.
It wasn't an off-season signing though that got a buzz going or got people really up out of their seats.
Exactly. It was a right-handed bat that they felt, let's see what this guy's got left. He went from Boston back over to Texas, picked himself back up, and boy, he's come over and had a heck of a year. And not only the numbers wise, but he's made a lot of friends in that clubhouse.
And it's probably no coincidence that Carlos Santana's had a career year offensively.
Yeah, you get well, that's right-handed bat, man. You needed some. They needed it badly.
Fouled right back. This is what you call getting after it.
There's never he never gets cheated. He takes a healthy cut, especially when that count is in his favor. The thing at times he's done this year, when he's gone to 2 strikes, you have runners in scoring position. He has cut down his swing at times to drive in part of those 100 runs. It's not all done by the home run ball by him, and has had a terrific year at home.
He moved inside, but the pitch was upstairs and he fouls it back.
Yeah, a lot of people love to throw Napoli upstairs when they get to 2 strikes because he has that hole like a lot of hitters do. But if you miss, you pay. Yeah, now McCann wants to get on the same page with his pitcher because, one more mistake and it could make it a 4-run game, and they do not want that to happen now. You're into the 7th inning. They need to keep it right here, a 2-run ball game. The Indians jumped out early again, as they have so often this year against the Tigers.
Corey Kluber went 4 innings. He left with tightness in his right groin. Now the 2-2 to Napoli. Runner goes. Great jump by Lindor. And a sky-high pop. Inning over. Roberto Perez, though, gives the Indians a 2-run cushion, launching one the opposite way over the right field wall. 5-3 Cleveland. trek north from Cleveland to be here to potentially see the Indians clinch the division title. They lead it 5-3. They win, and it's theirs. Brian Shaw comes back out for the 7th, and Ian Kinsler fouls the first pitch back. Not that Andrew Miller can't get right-handed hitters out, because he can. But boy, this Tigers lineup, they're just almost exclusively a right-handed hitting club. So it's not like Terry can say, well, we'll bring Miller in to face this guy or that guy. I mean, it's just, he's going to face right-handed hitters regardless.
It doesn't matter, because I think Detroit, they're one of the better hitting teams against right-handers than they are left-handers. But you're going with your best here. It's like I said before, a playoff game. Once Kluber came out in the 4th, man, it was Otero. He went 5 outs. Now Shaw's in there. He's going to try and get his 5 or 6 outs, and they pass it on. They pass the baton to the next guy.
Out of play to the right.
That's what you hope doesn't happen. A lot of foul balls to get that pitch count up, because for Brian Shaw, it's going to be pitch number 30.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if he's going to be able to get you 5 outs tonight.
Yeah, you're getting into the big part of that lineup. Just keep this guy off base here. Easier said than done.
Left field. Uh-oh, this is a long run for Coco. Crisp can't get there. He got leather on it, but he couldn't pull it in. And Kinsler's into second with a leadoff double.
Coco made a valiant effort running that ball down. It hit into his glove. He just couldn't hold on to it. He was on the dead sprint, and Kinsler went out there and hit that ball and really turned on it. And you're going to see how far and how hard Coco had to run for it. It had to hit right in his pocket. It did not. He made a nice attempt. It just didn't stick. Boy, it hit the finger, the baby finger of that glove, and falls off. So now there goes the tying run, or excuse me, no, the tying run now is coming to the plate, but the leadoff man, Kinsler, he gets his 28th double.
Now think about this for a minute. Shaw has faced 5 batters. He's thrown 30 pitches. Corey Kluber pitched 4 innings tonight and made 60 pitches.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much longer Terry will go with Brian. Not so much for any other reason as you throw that many pitches, you might lose him for a couple of days.
Well, he's staying out there. He could be gone for tomorrow, but they got to win today. Today is today. You got to win this ball game.
How to play right side. It is 1-1. Maben with Miguel Cabrera to follow, and then Victor Martinez. Upstairs, 2-1. Maben doesn't like it. Crowd all oohing and awing, and it's 2-2.
Well, it's the 7th inning, and you know what? It's been that way all night. Yeah, the hitters, I know it's tough and it's not easy, but you can't start complaining now. It's been that way.
You're not going to get any.
It's nothing new.
Yeah, it's not going to change. You're not going to get any sympathy in the argument. That's high, and now a full count.
Now the crowd getting into it.
Andrew Miller is ready, but he could be coming into a really tough spot. Shaw's payoff pitch. And it's topped foul. Shaw does not want to walk Maben. He's going to go right at him, and the 3-2 is chopped up the middle. Lindor has to hurry. He unloads, and he just did get him by a whisker. And that's out number 1. Kinsler moves to third on the play. And that will do it for Bryan Shaw. He pitches 1 inning tonight. 6 batters total. He allows 2 hits, walked 1, struck out 2, and he'll leave with the tying run coming to the plate. The big lefty, Andrew Miller, is coming on when we come back. Indians. Since coming over from the Yankees, he's been really good. All told, 66 appearances, 9 wins, an ERA of 1.54, a dozen saves, and opponent's batting average of just 1.61. Our player profile brought to you by Levin Furniture. This is the man he will face, Miguel Cabrera. Among right-handed hitters,
look at the
13
names.
Straight seasons with a 500 or better slugging percentage.
There you go. Well,
no, until Cabrera, you don't see him take many bad swings like that.
No, but that's a ball. That slider from Miller is so good to righties. It just keeps bearing in on you. If you start, and it's tough to hold up. It's tough to stop swinging at it. You know, Miguel likes the ball going away from him. You know, he likes that ball. He can shoot it to right field. He makes it look so simple. They've had a lot of success this year pitching him inside, making him use his hands.
And they're going to stay in there. And it gets by Lindor, and a run scores. Cabrera delivers his second RBI of the night.
Well, and it goes to show you, this guy, he worked his hands. They went inside. It wasn't a bad pitch, but he gets enough of it, man. He's strong enough. He gets it through the infield. Lindor thought he had a chance at it, but it gets by. It gets under his glove. And again, for the 3rd time tonight, the Tigers come back and score after the Indians get on the board. It's a 5-4 game with 1 out.
And now Victor Martinez with the tying run at first. And that will also close the book on Brian Shaw, who gives up a run in his 1 inning of work. Pulled foul. 2 quick strikes on Victor Martinez. Victor grounded into an inning-ending double play in the 5th.
Boy, you'd love to have another one of those here, wouldn't you?
Swung on and missed. Perez can't find it. Now he does. And there are 2 away.
Well, for Miller, he doesn't mess around facing Victor Martinez. It's that slider in there for strike 1, taken all the way. Another one, he fouls off, and he had to pull it and hit it hard. But this one, he chases into the dirt. 3 sliders, 3 swings. Well, excuse me, the last 2 were swings. But he gets the second out of the inning in his first out.
J.D. Martinez, the batter. Anybody else reaches, and that guarantees Miguel Cabrera 1 more at bat tonight. J.D. Martinez smashed a 2-run homer in the 2nd. He singled to straightaway center in the 4th. And Dan Otero got him to ground out in the 6th inning. That was the last batter he faced tonight.
How about that slider?
I mean, just carved him up, and that will end the inning. Back-to-back strikeouts for Miller. It's Cleveland 5, Detroit 4. And Jose Ramirez will be leading off for the Tribe when we come back. Presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. "5-4 Cleveland. And the 4th pitcher of the night for Detroit coming on, Alex Wilson. '61st appearance for this right-hander who's had a very good year. And he'll be facing Jose Ramirez, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Coco Crisp. Kia in the driver's seat, showing you that David Ortiz leading the American League in doubles, but Jose Ramirez right behind him. And not far behind the rest of those guys who's on that list, Jason Kipnis, who now has 38. Strike call to the outside edge. You could hear the groans from the crowd.
Well, that one was inside, and Ramirez has had a couple of pitches called in there earlier in the evening.
And now Ramirez down on
a toe.
Here comes Terry Francona. Jeff Desjardins right behind him.
I don't know exactly where it got him. I thought it went off his foot. We'll see.
Yeah, it looked like right off the instep, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. He has some padding down there on the inside, but I think it missed it on the right up around the arch of the foot. Yeah, that's where they're looking, down around the big toe. He's going to get up slowly. Focus on that front foot. Yep, right on the arch, right there. Does not feel good. There's no meat to protect anything down there.
Right on the arch.
Yes, sir.
He's going to stay in there, though.
Yeah, he's going to limp in there. Just you have to let that that feeling subside, that stinging, and it's not going to for a while. Now you hope he throws you a ball away so you can at least put it in play, not back in.
He drills one to deep center. Back goes Maben, and he makes the catch.
It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Back in 2007. Hard to believe this is almost a decade ago, the last time the Indians were Central Division champions.
Betancourt, Martinez there you see the Dolans. And yeah, what a fun run that was. Look at the faces, the names.
Lonnie Chisenhall fouls one back out of play. One out here in the 8th, and now time is called. Missed off the plate, 1-1. Well, the Chicago Cubs doing a number tonight on the Pirates. They got a grand slam from Javier Baez. Another home run from Chris Bryant.
I saw it was like 11-0 at one point.
I think it's 12-0 now. Yeah, 12-0. They're in the 7th inning. Arizona's put up 10 runs tonight on the Washington Nationals. They're only in the 6th inning. They lead it 10-4. The Cincinnati Reds beating St. Louis 14-1. There's no love lost between those two franchises. Up high, he missed 2-2.
No, but for the Cardinals, that they're going to take a hit in that wild card run.
Speaking of which, the Yankees lead Toronto 5-3. They're in the 9th. And Milwaukee beating Texas 5-3. They're in the 6th. That's good for the Indians because Texas ahead of them.
Yes.
For the best record in the American League.
Boston with the night off. I think Texas will get Thursday off because they're a game ahead of us.
Yeah. The 2-2 pitch. Low, a full count. Down in Miami tonight, the surreal experience for the Marlins players. They're winning handily over the Mets 7-2. Just one day after learning that Jose Fernandez was killed in a boating accident. We have had some lengthy at-bats.
Yes,
in the last couple of innings. This will be the 8th pitch of this encounter. And he pops him up. Shallow left. In comes Upton. And there are 2 down. Back to the 2nd inning if you're tuning in late or bouncing around tonight. Coco Crisp got the tribe on the board first. His 13th homer of the year. 2-run shot. It's been a tightly contested game, though. The Indians led 2-0. Tigers counter with a 2-run homer from J.D. Martinez. Tribe got 2 in the 5th. Tigers got 1 in the bottom half. Indians scored in the 7th. Tigers matched that in the bottom half.
Yeah, they will never let them really pull away. They haven't been able to throw that shutdown inning once they scored. So try to keep scoring, which I'm sure they are.
Tigers have actually out-hit the Indians tonight 10-5. But Cleveland a run better where it counts most. That's blooped, and that's going to fall. And Coco Crisp is aboard to keep the inning alive. 2nd hit of the night. And we'll see Rajay Davis for the 2nd time as he pinch hit in the 6th and grounded out.
See, that ball went off the end of the bat and just going to bloop in. Nothing you can do about that as an outfielder. So a 2-out single for Coco. So they're just going to talk in case, you know, he may try and steal. Coco has stolen 9 this year out of 14.
Rajay swung at the first pitch he saw in that pinch hit appearance in the 6th. He was going to bunt, but he pulls it back.
I don't know why. Yeah, they appeal, and he did. They say he went. McCann went out there and asked the home plate umpire to ask first base. Take a look. Hard to tell from that angle.
I didn't see an offer.
It's hard to tell from that angle.
We're in the top of the 8th with 1 on and 2 out. Indians lead it by a run. Trying to wrap up the Central Division Championship here tonight. And a bullet into left field by Rajay Davis. Coco stops at second. 2 on with 2 out.
They come back. He hits a fastball and he pulls it into the hole. So he gets aggressive. Back-to-back singles with 2 outs will give Perez an opportunity. And he's 2 for 3. He homered his last at-bat. So when you look at it, Coco has a couple of hits and 2 RBIs. Perez has a couple of hits and an RBI. 7 and 9. Not too shabby.
Well, and he's had success shooting the ball to right field. Don't mess with success.
Yeah, stay back and look to just try and stroke it the other way. You know, he got a fastball his last time up, and boy, he just waited back on it, didn't overswing, and he stayed down and threw the ball. And it had enough to carry into about the second row. And that was the leadoff home run that made it a 5-4 game. So that gave the Indians their 5th run.
Upstairs, ball 1. Or rather, ball 2, and the crowd is not happy because they've seen these calls, and that's where you get in trouble as an umpire, the inconsistency. You want to have a big strike zone, have a big strike zone, but when it becomes inconsistent, that's when you get people.
Well,
hollering.
you get both sides that will get on you about it.
And the 2-0 is a fastball strike at the bottom of the zone.
You know, it had plate. It had plenty of plate. But boy, when you think you can throw a pitch down there for a strike and a couple that they've caught upstairs for a strike, I mean, that's a big zone. But look for that fastball. If it hits the plate, get after it.
Like he does. Line to center, coming around third. Coco Crisp will try to score. The throw is cut off.
Bingo.
And in a big insurance run delivered by Roberto Perez with his 3rd hit of the night. 6-4 Cleveland. 3 straight 2-out hits for the Indians.
Boy, and the dugout up again, and they're happy for Perez, and everybody is, because he's having a night. He hung him a slider right there, and he was aggressive, stayed right back through the middle with it. Gets his 3rd hit, his 2nd RBI, and the Indians answer that 1-run Detroit put on, and in comes Coco, and all done with 2 outs. 3 straight hits off Wilson. It is now 6-4.
And here is Carlos Santana. Breaking for third is Rajai Davis. The ball comes loose and he's safe.
Ibar couldn't hold on to it. Not that he really had to, but watch, they didn't make him stop. That's why he took off. And McCann makes a beautiful throw. And if Ibar hangs on to the ball, I think they might have him. But he never really caught the ball. Rajai ended up, it was out of his glove by the time he slides into it. He just knocked him into foul territory. So you give him a stolen base. I mean, there's no harm there. There's still 2 outs.
Stolen base number 42 for Rajai Davis, leads the American League. Carlos Santana singled and scored in the 5th. There's a ball hit to right field. Long run for Martinez. He can't make the play. It's a fair ball. Davis scores. Roberto Perez will stop at third because the ball hopped up into the seats, I guess.
Yeah, it bounced.
I didn't see where it went after he misplayed it.
It bounced into the crowd, but he got there.
Brad Ausmus wondering if maybe there was a chance it was foul, and so he looks to his video replay people
and to see if they want to challenge this play.
Well, the umpire was right on the line. Watch Martinez. He's in fair territory when he touches this ball.
Oh,
boom,
yeah.
That's it. And then it hit foul and bounces into the seat. Ground rule double. They can take a look at it. But he was clearly in fair territory, and so was the ball. But by the time it fell off the end of his glove, it hit foul territory, and he couldn't. He had an opportunity to make that play.
The official score has charged Martinez with an error, so no hit or an RBI for Santana, which is really a shame because I know he should have caught it, but that's not an easy play when you're running out of room and you're on the dead sprint like that.
You know, I know the Indians don't care. The run counts.
Right.
I mean, you want to hit, but who cares at this point? Just let the run come home. And there again, they get 2 more on the board this inning. You know, the crowd looking at that play again. And the fans saw it on the replay, and I see some of them getting up and heading to the exits. That's going to be quick.
Yeah, unless there's an angle that we're not seeing.
Yeah, that's right. The right call, second and third. No question about it. It was a fair ball.
And the Indians get another big extra run, 7-4. 4 straight reaching after there were 2 outs. And Martinez charged with the error.
There it is with the run. It was a very catchable ball. So the Indians.
Jason Kipnis now with a chance to really inflict some pain. Pops it straight up. Into foul ground, Ibar. Whoa! He makes the catch, but boy, was that an adventure. The inning is over. Indians tack on 2 more. And we go to the 9th. Andrew Miller comes back out for Cleveland. And defensively now for the Tribe, Abraham Almonte takes over in left field. It's down to Miller and Cody Allen for Cleveland. Assuming Terry Francona would love to see Miller breeze through this 8th. As Justin Upton takes a strike. And I wonder how much it does for a pitcher's psyche to know it's not a 1-run game where one pitch can't hurt me here.
They gotta love it. I mean, you know, they're used to holding 1-run leads and things like that, but when you can come on and add on late in the ball game and they just answered them because Detroit pulled to within 1. They've had an answer for every Indian scoring tonight. This is one where you really want to shut it down, and Miller has that opportunity, and he's thrown 9 out of 10 strikes.
Way to go.
Who cares? Got to miss 1.
The good old announcer's jinx. Popped up foul, out of play. Andrew Miller came on in the 7th, and Miguel Cabrera banged a single through the left side of the infield to drive home Ian Kinsler. Then he struck out the next 2 to end the inning. Weekly grounded to third. Jose Ramirez throws him out. 1 away. September 8, 1995, the Indians' first American League Central Division championship. On the pop-up in a foul ground, Jim Thome made the catch. And the wild celebration began. And what a run. Five consecutive Central Division titles. Swing and a miss by Ibar. 2 quick strikes. And I mean, he made him look silly. 3rd strikeout for Miller. He's retired 4 in a row. Well, the Indians clinching the 95 title and then went to the World Series. 96, they were knocked out in the first round. 97, back to the Fall Classic. 98, they made it to the American League Championship Series where they fell to the Yankees. 99, Boston ousted them in the Division Series. In 01, it was Seattle that took them down. In 07, they lost to Boston on the cusp of the World Series.
Yep, and that's it. 2007, up 3-1 against Boston.
(7-4) Cleveland here in the 8th. 2 down, and McCann fouls it back.
This guy he's like a pitching machine. He's just throwing strike after strike after strike.
17 out of 19. And he's so close. I mean, the way he attacks, you're going to be aggressive as a hitter. You want to swing. You don't want to.
Right. He has so much he can bury you with. It's been that slider to the right-handers. That throws him a fit, and then he can throw that little heater away.
And he got him looking. Locked him up with a slow breaking ball. 4 strikeouts for Miller as he retires 5 in a row. Now we go to the 9th with the Indians up 3.
I saw Jensen. He's got a bottle of Perrier Jouet already. He's got it iced down. Oh,
that's nice. Are you sure it's not open already, is it?
Yeah, that would be jinxing it. You can't do that. All right, here we go, 9th inning. For the Tribe, Lindor, Napoli, Ramirez, and the fireballer Bruce Rondon on for the Tigers.
He is a fireballer, but last time we faced him at Cleveland, man, he was throwing a lot of sliders.
You're right. Well, I'll tell you what, Arch, when we watched the other day, he pitched the 8th inning against Kansas City,
right,
and it was no contest.
Yeah, he was lights out.
He's a young man who's got tremendous talent and ability, as Upton will haul in a long drive off the bat of Lindor for out number 1. But he's had to deal with some things, some immaturity. He was sent home late in the season a year ago. And if he's grown up, if he's pulled it all together, I mean, he could be their closer of the future. Mike Napoli drove in a run in the 5th with a sacrifice fly. 101 RBIs on the year. And Rondon with a fastball strike. Keep it right here. We'll have all the coverage should the Indians wrap it up. The celebration, interviews from the clubhouse. We'll bring it all to you tonight. Two strikes on Napoli. High pop. I don't even know how he got to that pitch.
He came down. That top hand came over so fast on that pitch.
Watch this.
Watch how he gets on top and rolls it.
Most guys would blow a disc in their back out just trying to get to that pitch. Now the 2-strike offering. Another foul back. The 0-2 offering. And it's outside. Well, Arch, it's been at least a decade since we came to a game here between Cleveland and Detroit where the crowd was this small and this quiet.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the Indians, they're looking to go 7-0 in this ballpark this year.
Yeah.
That's the remarkable thing. And this, they used to come up here and dominate. We'd come in here and we'd be lucky to win one out of a series. But this year they have they played here like this is their home park
from the get-go. That's the way it has been. They beat the Tigers to the punch the first game here, and they just haven't let up. Now, but the last 2 pitches, Rondon thought it was strike 3 both times. He was walking off the mound and had to stop himself. The 2-2, and that's inside. He did it again.
Well, I don't
3
know.
times.
He's walking. Look at, he's been calling strikes for everybody that's been out there. For him to do this 3 straight times, they have to be balls. I mean, quit begging. This guy's been so generous. That's inside. And that's a camera angle that's not right on center, and it looked like it was close, but it still looked in. If you put the camera right behind home plate, it's probably about 6 inches inside.
And it's in the dirt, ball 4.
Oh, how about that one?
He's lucky he didn't get thrown out right there. He let out
something in the direction of home plate. Some sort of noise, and now Hunter Wendelstedt's got his arms folded, and he's got him in his radar.
Well, I'm telling you, he's come on. It's a 3-run game, and this is only his 3rd hitter, and he's complaining.
And now McCann's got to go out and try and settle him down.
Yeah, he better, because he won't be long for this game.
Well, Hunter Wendelstedt, he's the crew chief, and he's got his eye on him.
And here comes the pitching coach.
Whatever he yelled, and I don't know if it was profanity or if it was just
something at himself.
Yeah, but it was just the fact that it was.
Well, you see, that's where Hunter caught the tail end of that one.
That's right.
If they let that umpire get to the home plate or to the pitcher's mound, Rondon may say something, he will be gone. Well, you talked about maturity. You talked about it. He's showing it right now.
Yeah.
Lack of.
Yeah.
Come on, it's only his 3rd hitter, for goodness sake.
It's been that way for everybody all night long.
I know it.
He's got to understand that. Unless he hasn't been paying attention all night.
Well, that could be. It sure looks like it.
Ramirez chops one foul.
Now that's a strike. Look at he's slapping to get the baseball. He's his own worst enemy out there right now. I'd love to see him hit one out of here. How he reacts.
Missed outside. And it's 1-1. Jose Ramirez has had a phenomenal campaign. Came in tonight tied for 5th in the American League in batting average, 2nd in doubles, 8th in stolen bases, the 4th best average with runners in scoring position. Big reason why the Indians are on the cusp of a division title. Lifted to left field, routine for Upton. 2 down. Look back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Mazda. Indians trying to win their 8th Central Division championship. They're on schedule. And Lindor and Napoli, they were part of it. And really, when you look up and down the line, a lot of guys had a hand in it tonight, but have to tip your cap to the bottom part of the order. And Corey Kluber, he pitched well for 4, but he left. We found out later, tightness in the right groin, and hopefully, I know I speak for all Indians fans when I say hopefully it's not anything serious and something that he can bounce back from quickly. It's a ball outside. The 1-0 is in the air. Left field shallow. Out goes Iglesias. Upton makes the catch. We are 3 outs away from a Central Division championship party in Motown.
of the game. And Roberto Perez has had himself a clutch night at the plate.
Well, you're right. I mean, he came up with some big hits. He hit a home run to give him one run on that one swing leading off seventh. Gets a big base hit to add on, and that was 3 hits. He threw a guy out at second base. A terrific game for Roberto Perez, man. And that dugout was pumped when he had a couple of big hits there for him.
Chicken Al will try to close it out. Cody Allen looking for his 30th save on the year. And he's got Jose Iglesias, Ian Kinsler, and Cameron Maybin. If anyone reaches, then Miguel Cabrera would get another turn at bat. Indians fans making themselves heard, and they are all down, crowded behind the visitors' dugout here at Comerica Park. The 1-0 in there for a strike. Cody Allen with a 1-1. And a little bit outside. A number of these players were part of the 2013 club that had to win 10 in a row to finish the season just to get into the wild card game. It's a ball outside. Cody Allen was one of them, and that year Cody pitched in 77 games. He had a 6-1 record with a 2.43 ERA. Now the 3-1. And a strike called. Jason Kipnis, Lonnie Chisenhall. There are a number of guys still here. No, it wasn't that long. It was only 3 years. But sometimes in sports, 3 years can be a long time. 3-2 pop back out of play.
Yeah, it's, you know, it seems like a long time, but you play a lot of baseball games going in that 3-year span.
You know, to you and I, 2007 doesn't seem like that long. It's like hard to believe that's almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor, a rookie a year ago. The 3-2 and foul back, and now on the cusp of getting his first taste of Major League postseason action. For guys like Mike Napoli, you can say it's old hat, but it never gets old. 7 out of the last 9 years he's been to postseason baseball. 3-2. Out of play again. Another 3-2 pitch on its way. And another foul ball.
He gets up there and he gets the 2 strikes and he just fouls off pitch after pitch. He did that in his last at bat. I'm trying to think, who was it? Shaw was the pitcher that he made him really work hard.
To right field. Long run. Ronnie makes the catch just shy of the warning track. 1 away.
That's what you wanted to do. Challenge him, make him put it in play. Keep it in the ballpark and you run it down. Out number 1. You know, yeah, Lonnie had a nice ways to go, but puts it away. No problem for him.
He's got it in the palm of his glove. He didn't get it into the web, and he shows Rajay like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a catch like that earlier in right center that Rajay made here to end the game.
Wow.
That double play to end that game.
Unbelievable plays of the year.
Yeah.
And there have been many. Ian Kinsler looks at ball one outside. The 1-0. And it's right down the heart of the plate for a strike. Just to revisit a thought from earlier in the telecast, the Tigers coming into tonight said there were two missions at hand. One, they need to win to try to get into the playoffs, a wild card spot, but also they were motivated to win because they don't want to see the Indians celebrate on their home field. But it hasn't worked out so far. The Indians are just 2 outs away from popping the champagne. 2-1 ground ball to Kipnis. He'll set and throw him out. And now 1 out away.
Yeah, the Indians have their little contingency behind the dugout. They are all fired up and ready to celebrate.
Tiger fans filing out. Indians fans all making their way to the visitors' dugout area. Cody Allen facing Cameron Maben, and a fastball, strike one. Now the 0-1. He went around. It's 0-2. One strike away. And Cody Allen fires a little high. Allen takes a huge heave of breath, and the 1-2 pitch swung out and missed. He struck him out, and after a 9-year wait, Central Division title number 8 belongs to Cleveland. It's the first step, but it's one of the hardest ones to attain. You come together in February, you get through 6 weeks of spring training, you start the season. Everybody has hopes and dreams of getting to the postseason, winning a division championship, being able to celebrate like this. But so many unknowns await once the season begins. But this club has overcome quite a bit of adversity along the way. They didn't have their best player for practically the entire season. And a young Jose Ramirez stepped in